I've actually been curious how this would impact the future. I think that things will go back to the way they were. We're still going to have like in-person K through 12. I
Mhm.
don't necessarily see that going away. Now, high school, there's already online high school education. It wasn't widely used, but I think they've probably gained a lot of followers for that format. And I
Mhm.
think there's some
Mhm.
credit to that. If your high schooler knows that they want to start a lawn care business and they want to
Right.
finish high school while they start that or work under someone, I think that's
Mhm.
actually a really great idea. And
Right.
like I've got a friend that did that exact same thing, didn't go to college, graduated high school, and then started his own business and is very successful with that. Like I think the topic of careers and career paths and what higher education is going to change.
Right.
And I I don't necessarily think that a 4-year university, you're there going full time to school to get that education and then go into your career.
Mhm.
I think, something like an apprenticeship while you get your education is a very viable thing now because of this
Absolutely.
type of thing that we'll see more of. But
Well,
I'm curious your thoughts, like what you think what else, how education would change.
I mean, since we're using Zoom now for meetings with our children, I could see us doing that. And I know you'll probably
Mm.
shake your head, go, yes. Parent conferences could be done via Zoom.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
IEP conferences could be done via Zoom. I could do tutoring via Zoom.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Zoom has opened up, and right now it's unlimited access for educators. And I'm hoping that
Mm.
that continues because I could see us using that as a platform instead of bringing people into our buildings. But we still need that face to face or screen to face. I don't know how
Sure.
we're going to say that. But these conferences where I really need to share with you what's happening with your student. And, to me, I feel like I've had more communication with my parents since this has
Mm.
happened than I had in the past. And I feel like this may be just the edge of better communication between educators and the parents and the
Yeah.
families. Um,
And
all,
honestly, I'm
all of
friends
us
with
are
a
thinking that.
lot of teachers. Like you and I have been friends for years. I've been friends with so many teachers though that have said communication with parents and parents involvement has always been the struggle. And
Right,
I've been very curious to kind of see how this changes that over time. And I think it
right.
happened very quickly. We had to pivot very quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But so to me, I think that's going to be a huge thing in the future. There'll be lots of teleconferences.
Yeah.
I could also see now the governor of California has just given some information out that he's possibly going to shrink class sizes
Mm.
uh, to keep students further apart. They're thinking about staggered times where your student would come in at a time and then half the population would leave and another population would come in. I mean, that's been batted around. I've heard talk on chats about that. I'm hoping that we have stricter, hypervigilance of sanitation in our schools.
Mm.
Um, uh, and we follow. That's been the case. Are we following what we already have set up? If a child is ill, is that child being separated from other students before
Mm.
they're showing some major symptoms? I'm hoping for stricter policies and more hypervigilance when it comes to that. So, and a lot of educators are thinking the same thing. We
Yeah.
want more nurses. We want, if a child is even discolored, I can tell when a student walks in my classroom how they feel.
Sure. Well,
It's
I can imagine the parents are like, they've got a low grade fever, but they seem fine. Like sending them to school now, I think will probably be much more hypersensitive to that and saying, you know what, we're not going to risk it.
Right.
But we have the tools to allow them to continue like doing what they need to do with Google Classroom
Sure.
and the video and whatever else, right?
Right. I mean, and another thing, if I'm sick or if I have to miss a day and I know
Mhm.
can't, like if I have a doctor's appointment and I have to travel and I'm taking a day, do you know that I could now video myself teaching math, teaching literacy, teaching whatever it
Right.
is I need to teach for that day, video myself do the lesson, have the substitute play my video, and my
Facilitate.
children don't miss a beat
Yep.
when I'm out of the classroom. I can even come on Zoom if I'm home in the afternoon and they're in the classroom and I'm back. I can say, hey guys, I'm going to read you this book. We're going to talk about, characterization and so all of those things is this technology that we've learned can be used in so many ways.
Allows for more flexibility. I think for the teacher side, the parent side, the student side. It's funny, like you talk about how in such a short time people have learned to use the technology. I think that even extends to churches. I mean, we've seen churches go completely online, and for so long, as someone that worked in a church and was told, I'm like, we could do this online, and and the thing that I always heard was, well, our older folks just don't have the ability or the access, or they just won't. They never will. And I'll tell you so I sat in on a conversation at our church where they were talking about, it was the first Sunday we had done completely online. And our pastor, Phil, he was talking about, well, how many people don't have access? And out of all the people, I guess 900 something people, there was one individual that didn't have the ability and needed a DVD to watch the service. And they got that DVD, right? Like one person out of all of those people. And now small groups are meeting online, and it's a little bit awkward and more difficult. I think for the actual small group part, it's actually not as bad. But the bigger group part, meeting on Zoom's a little weird. But like we've seen people adapt, and I guess it's just to point out the obvious that it is possible, like to get to some point in that. It's just, it sometimes takes something like a virus to do that.
Well, something that pushes you to that, where you have to, it's a have to thing. Well, and also, I mean, this may not be the end.
Sure.
We've been discussing how we could have rolling regional shutdowns, education and different parts of the country could be, if and the flu too. I mean, if it ever came to it, we were that hypersensitive, we could have rolling shutdowns in all areas, just ever so often. And this would give us, now that we have kind of this would give us the opportunity in the future to say, okay, well, we're going to shut down for 3 weeks. We are going to let people kind of, self-quarantine, and everybody kind of do their quarantine thing, and we're going to clean everything. And then, after 3 weeks, we're going to hit this going again. Oh no, it's a possibility.
So thinking about the possibilities, let's hone in on, what do you think the rest of 2020 looks like for you as a teacher? What do you, at this point in time, and it'll be interesting maybe in the fall to come back and have another conversation about how it unfolded. But what do you think the rest of 2020 looks like for you as your first graders move on to second grade, and as you start?
I don't know. It's hard right now, we just are wrapping our mind around not having our babies back. I guess the higher you get, I guess it's not as such a bond there. But I mean, I can't tell you how, shutting down your room in April skills to an educator in the lower elementary. It's just you're taking their things out of their desk. It almost feels like a death right now. And so it's hard to really right now wrap my mind around, how the year is going to progress for us. We do Marco Polo with our first grade group of teachers, and seen many shed tears and lots of heartbreak.
Yeah,
because of we feel like we've been cheated. So wrapping our mind around the fact that we can't, continue or finish this year, this school year is kind of hard to fathom.
Right.
I'm putting portfolios together right now for my babies. So
yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see
little saved work, that I've been all year and
pulling it together.
And trying to make something special out of it. So we plan to have one big celebration party, for my class, because they have got to have closure just like I do. And so I hope that, in our kindergarten that normally has their kindergarten circus, we just found out today that it's actually going to happen in July. And it's our graduation for our kindergartners here at Lakeside. And we found out today we are going to get to have that. So, closure needs to happen. I see we've got to make this year, we've got to come out on top. We've got to make a positive from, this corona, COVID, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
We need to find a positive, end on a positive. So